Welcome to our deep dive, everybody. Today it's all about culture and learning.
Yeah.
Get ready to unpack how cultural backgrounds shape how we learn,
Right.
how we interact in classrooms, and even the struggles teachers face to make education really inclusive.
And we've got some real world examples
Well, perfect.
that make this come to life, and they highlight how important it is for students and teachers to understand those cultural differences.
I'm so ready for those examples. But first, I was thinking about how we even define culture. It's not just like clothes and food. It's got to be deeper than that.
It is, you're right.
So how do we define it?
Well, you can think of culture as like a set of shared understandings about beliefs, values, norms, and how we behave socially. It shapes how whole groups of people act. It's basically how we see the world and interact with each other.
So it's kind of like a lens we see everything through.
Exactly. And even things we think are universal, like time or what's polite, can be totally different depending on your background.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like that story about the student who grew up where kids should be seen but not heard.
Right.
Then they're suddenly in a classroom where participation and discussion are like the most important thing,
Totally different.
like a culture clash.
Exactly. And that's a great example of how culture plays out in school.
Yeah.
It really shows why teachers need to get to know their students' backgrounds to make a learning environment that works for everybody.
It's like they're stepping into a whole new world.
Yeah, a new world with different rules.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
Culture shapes how we learn and process information.
For sure. Think about learning styles.
Right.
Some cultures are very visual,
Mm-hmm.
while others are more abstract or hands-on.
Right. And all those styles are valid and can work.
Okay.
Teachers need to recognize that and change up their teaching so everyone can succeed.
It's like meeting the students right where they are.
Exactly. Everyone brings different experiences.
I was also reading about the benefits of learning about different cultures.
Yes.
It's not just knowing facts.
Uh-huh.
It's about understanding the world better
Right.
and valuing others,
Yes.
reducing stereotypes,
It's important.
and even better communication.
Huge impact.
That's huge.
It is.
It helps individuals
Yes.
and society as a whole,
Totally.
especially in today's world that's so interconnected.
Oh, guys.
It's like essential for navigating diverse workplaces,
For sure.
building stronger communities,
Absolutely.
and just having more meaningful interactions with people from different backgrounds.
Yeah. I mean, we live in a globalized world now.
We do.
So getting these different perspectives is key.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it's not just about other cultures,
Okay.
but how our own culture affects how we see things, how we act, and even how we learn. Have you noticed how your own background influences your learning style or how you talk to people?
Absolutely.
It's like a constant self-discovery.
It is, especially with people from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
But let's switch gears a bit
Sure.
and talk about the challenges teachers face in creating these culturally sensitive classrooms.
Okay.
It's a nice idea, but some sources pointed out problems like limited resources,
Mm-hmm.
lack of training,
Yeah.
and even bureaucracy.
Uh-huh.
Like that story about the teacher who wanted to take her students on a field trip to experience different cultures,
Oh, yeah.
but couldn't because of all the red tape.
Right. So frustrating.
It really shows how good intentions can be blocked
Totally.
by the system.
It highlights the need for real change
Yeah,
if we really want to help teachers create inclusive spaces.
I agree. But even with limited resources,
Huh?
I'm hoping there are ways to make education more culturally responsive.
Oh, absolutely. There are, yeah.
Okay, good.
It starts with knowing yourself, recognizing your own biases, and being open to each student's unique needs.
Mm-hmm.
Even small things can help.
Like what?
Bringing diverse books into the classroom
Oh, yeah.
or creating opportunities for cultural exchange
Mm.
and just building trust.
Makes sense.
It can make a big difference.
So the teacher is more than just someone who teaches.
Right.
They're like cultural guides, too,
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
helping students navigate this complex world.
They help students embrace who they are
Mm-hmm.
while also understanding and appreciating everyone else.
This deep dive is really showing how connected culture and learning are.
It has been a good journey.
It has.
Has anything resonated with you so far?
Oh, for sure.
Any experiences that show how culture impacts your own learning?
Mm-hmm. I bet our listeners have some too.
I'd love to hear their thoughts. But for now, let's get back to the practical side of things.
Okay.
What does cultural education actually mean for people and society.
Right. In part one, we talked about those benefits. How it's not just memorizing facts,
No, not at all.
but developing empathy and understanding.
Exactly. When we learn about other cultures, we start to see things differently.
Like literally.
Yeah, literally.
Through different lenses.
Exactly.
Our way of doing things isn't the only way.
Right.
And other perspectives are super valuable.
It's like that aha moment
Yeah,
where you realize there's more than one way to do something,
it really is. And that open-mindedness is so important these days.
especially in the workplace.
Oh, yeah.
It's more diverse than ever.
Uh-huh.
And working well with people from different backgrounds is key to success.
Yeah, it's not just about avoiding conflict.
No.
It's about using everyone's strengths.
Yeah, like sparking innovation
Yes,
and creating synergy.
that's it.
Wow.
Cultural diversity can be powerful.
It can.
But remember, cultural education isn't a one-time thing.
Oh,
It's a constant process. Learning, unlearning, and relearning.
so true.
It's about being curious, respect,
Yeah.
and willing to learn from others.
I imagine that's not always easy, though.
Well,
We might encounter practices or beliefs that challenge our own values,
it happens.
but that discomfort,
Yeah.
it's a chance to grow
It is.
and understand the world better.
Exactly. Use it as fuel for learning and self-reflection.
Indeed.
Right. As we do this,
Mm-hmm.
we see the beauty in the human experience.
Yeah,
We recognize what unites us,
for sure.
but also celebrate our differences.
It's like adding new colors to a painting,
I love that.
making it more vibrant.
And that brings up another point.
Okay.
Cultural education isn't just personal growth.
Right.
It's about social cohesion too.
Oh, interesting.
Building stronger communities.
Mm-hmm.
When we get each other's cultures,
Okay.
we're more likely to work together.
To solve problems.
Exactly. It creates shared purpose.
Breaks down those us versus them walls.
Yeah, and builds bridges instead.
We need that.
Especially now, with so much division.
Cultural education can promote peace and tolerance.
So it starts with stepping outside our own bubbles
Yes.
and engaging with the world.
But hold on.
Yeah.
Let's go back to those teacher challenges.
Mm-hmm. The ones we talked about earlier.
We talked about resources and training,
Right.
but there's something else.
With
Systemic biases
Uh-huh.
and inequalities.
Okay.
We can't ignore those
Yeah.
when talking about cultural education.
Right.
They're part of the system.
So even if a teacher is doing their best,
Yeah.
the system might be working against them.
Exactly. And that's why we need to look beyond just the classroom.
Okay.
Think about policy,
Right.
funding,
Yeah.
and even how we create curriculums.
Interesting.
Are our schools really designed for all learners?
That's a big question.
It is.
And are we giving teachers the tools they need?
Right. The tools to create truly inclusive environments.
Those are tough questions,
They are.
but important ones.
If we want to make real progress
We can't just talk about it. We have to examine the systems.
and be willing to change them.
Yeah, it's not enough to just say the right things.
It's not. We have to act
We have to get rid of the barriers that hold some students back.
and create a system that values diversity.
That's the goal.
This is a team effort.
It is.
It's not just on teachers. It's
Right.
on parents, policymakers, community leaders, everyone who wants a better world.
Everyone.
So what can our listener do?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It's a great question. And it's good to remember that even small actions can make a difference.
So what can they do?
Start by learning about different cultures.
Okay.
Challenge your own biases.
Mm-hmm.
Advocate for better policies in your community.
It's about taking those first steps.
Yeah, even if they're small.
As we move into the final part of our deep dive,
Okay?
I want to explore some practical ways to create those inclusive spaces.
Let's do it.
We've talked about how culture affects learning
We have.
and the benefits of cultural education.
For everyone.
So now let's get tactical. Okay, I like that word tactical.
What can we actually do?
These inclusive spaces.
I remember one source talked about the importance of having diverse perspectives in the curriculum.
Right, not just one narrative.
Yeah, but exposing students to different viewpoints and experiences.
Like expanding the menu,
Exactly.
giving students a more complete picture.
So how do we do that?
Lots of ways.
Okay.
We can use literature, music, art, history from different cultures.
That makes sense.
Guest speakers are great too.
Yeah,
People with different backgrounds and experiences.
for sure.
And technology can even connect students with people all over the world.
So it takes creativity,
It does.
planning,
Being intentional.
And it's not just the content,
Right.
but how we teach it.
Yeah, we have to create learning environments that are responsive to students' needs.
Which brings us back to learning styles.
We talked about how different cultures might prefer different learning styles.
Right, like visual or kinesthetic learners.
So teachers need to adapt to that.
How can they do that?
Try different teaching methods.
Okay.
Don't just rely on lectures and textbooks.
Yeah, mix it up.
Hands-on activities,
And fun.
group projects, visuals, even music and movement.
So make it more engaging.
Yes, give options so every student can find something that works for them.
I think building relationships is important too.
Absolutely.
Making students feel safe and respected.
That reminds me of culturally sustainable pedagogy.
Right, where we don't just tolerate differences.
We embrace them,
We celebrate them,
create a culture of belonging.
where everyone feels valued.
That starts with the teacher,
Setting the example.
but it's not just on them,
Right, the system needs to support them too.
which takes us back to systemic change.
We need to look at policies, funding, training,
Everything.
to support teachers in this work.
It can feel overwhelming,
Yeah, it's a big task.
but every little bit helps.
That's encouraging.
Start by learning, challenging your biases, speaking up in your community.
And supporting organizations already doing this work.
Exactly. Every action counts.
As we wrap up,
Okay.
I hope our listeners feel empowered
Me too.
to make a difference.
Create change.
This has been a great deep dive.
It has.
Thank you for your expertise and passion.
My pleasure.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for listening.
Keep learning, questioning, and engaging with the world
Yes.
and its cultural richness.
It's a journey
Let's build a more inclusive world together.
for everyone.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
See you then, Jeste.